Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be going over the idea that you are your own worst enemy. So what I mean by that is we all have, so I believe, my take on this, right? I can't prove it, but I think that everyone has like a multi-personality disorder to some extent. Some people far worse where it's like, okay, like, it may actually put them in a mental hospital of some sort, like that kind of extent of a problem, but I do think everyone has multi-personality disorder. And what I mean by that is that we all have different voices in our head that tell us different things. And so these voices could be like the doubt, the anxiety, the fear of doing something or even not doing something. So it can be like these personalities can be good and bad, and then you have like your core personality is what I'm going to call it, which is like what you consider you. But then you just have those other voices in your head that tell you to do different things, and it pulls you in different directions, and then you at your core aren't really sure what to do. Now, the reason why I would kind of categorize them as a different person that lives inside of you, like another personality, is because, well, sometimes it can like completely override your decision making process. So I like to refer to the ones that the personalities within you that are harmful. I would call them your inner demons. So those would be like, okay, so let's say you aspire to go do something, right? Something big, something out of your comfort zone, something that you may end up making a name for yourself. Well, your inner demon could be that fear and doubt and anxiety driven personality that says, no, you can't do this. This is beyond you. What are you doing? Why are we doing this? This is stupid. You're not going to make it. There's no point. Like those kind of thoughts get inserted, and then to the point where it can actually deter you from doing something, right? And and that's why I would consider that as a whole nother personality that resides within you, is because it steers you into different directions. And the reason why I call them inner demons is because it gets in the way of you doing something that you may want to do, right? Something you would like to accomplish in your life, something that you would find fulfilling, but then these inner demons come in and rattle your plans and just make you doubt yourself and do all these other things. Now, I would say to people, because I would kind of use this as an analogy, right? I'd say to them, if you had a friend that would come into your life and just give you fear and anxiety and doubt and all these negative type feelings, they just give it to you every time you're talking to them, you wouldn't want to be their friend, right? Like you would tell that person to leave you alone. Like we're not friends anymore, right? Because that's a toxic person. Well, you have to kind of say the same thing to those inner demons as well. You got to treat it the same thing, except they live within your head, right? It's within you, and that's where the you are your own worst enemy comes into play. Is you have all these quote unquote friends that live inside your head. Some are good for you, and some are bad. And I think where you have to kind of like create a distinction between like how these things can be good for you and how they can't be is when they get in the way of uh, a potential personal achievement or some sort of like vision. When they get in the way of the vision, that's when it's like, okay, that can be a little harmful. Now, sometimes it's good anxiety, um, and good fear-based reasons, like, hey, like your idea is a little unrealistic. Maybe we should like go back to the drawing board. That's okay. But the ones that are just there to just create doubt in you and instill fear and basically immobilize you from doing anything, that's where it's like that's too much. And that's where we got to figure out a way to get rid of thoughts, so that way they're not so intrusive and they don't actually dictate your action or lack thereof, right? So I think, yes, it's important to distinguish when it's a healthy amount, because it's, again, sometimes it's good that the fear comes in because it makes you be more, it creates you to be more careful with your decisions, and you're not just going all in, and you're not just risking it all for hardly any benefit, right? I think that's when it's healthy, and that's when you could probably listen to it. Otherwise, we got to find ways to slay these demons, right? Because otherwise, they get in the way. And they also keep people inside of a box. We talk about complacency before, I believe, and how that's really not good for people. And I think those demons have a lot to contribute to that, right? You have your demon of comfort that likes to keep you in a box. You don't go outside of it and do things that you wouldn't normally do, which if you ended up doing, you might find new avenues, new pathways for yourself, and end up having more success, right? So the way that I think we can go about slaying these demons is by doing certain exercises, like thought exercises or even physical exercises, to help kind of push those thoughts away, so that way they're not harmful to you. And for me, what's been working, so okay, my biggest inner demon, I would say, is my anger demon, right? That's another personality within me that resides that I don't like, and I don't like him living inside my head, and it causes me to do stupid things. So that one, I've just been, well, the Stoic practices have helped out a lot, and I talked about that in my last video about Stoicism and why it works, and that's definitely helped reduce my anger demon. So let's just pretend your demons are like spherical in size, right? And so my anger demon is like the size of a basketball, right? Your anger demon may not be. It might be the size of a baseball, right? So everyone's demons are different sizes. I think that, and these sizes like figuratively make up like parts of your personality, right? So the bigger they are, the more room they occupy inside your head. So my fear demon, or my not my fear demon, my anger demon is the size of a basketball, and the anxiety and like doubt-driven ones are more of like the size of, maybe like the size of a baseball, maybe even smaller, right? And yours might be the opposite. You might have fear and anxieties that are the size of the basketball, and your anger one is actually more of like a marble. Who knows? It's every person's going to have different size demons living inside them. And I do believe that you can reduce the size of these figurative demons from like a basketball to then like baseball to a marble to a pea. I don't think you can ever get rid of them. Realistically, I don't think, like, for me, my anger demon is so innately part of me. Like, it was part of my childhood growing up, just being a little angry and carrying it into adulthood. So now it's just kind of really ingrained in me, but I can reduce how much it affects me. So I would say now my anger demon is probably the size of a baseball. It's no longer basketball size. And again, it's not like it's driving me every day. I'm just saying when a personality just kind of takes over, like the anger one, and then you kind of become a different person, or the anxiety one, or the fear one, when they just kind of occupy your head for a little bit, no matter how temporary, it's still kind of in control. You're no longer really in control. These other personalities are. And so now it's no longer basketball size, so it still occupies a good amount of my space and time, but when I get to moments that would cause that trigger for it to just be there in my head and take over, it doesn't take over as strongly now, right? So in moments where I would usually get really pissed off to like unreasonable levels, now it's like I get a little angry, yes, but I don't let it balloon to what it used to, right? And it doesn't last nearly as long either. That's the other thing, is like the duration of how long a personality lasts also coincides with how big it is figuratively in your head. So my anger one, again, size of a basketball, it would take over. I get really mad, do stupid things because of the size of it. And it would also last a little bit longer than I'd like, maybe 15, 30 minutes before I start to cool down. Now it's like, now that it's a baseball, I get mad, not to the extent that I used to, and it doesn't last nearly as long, maybe 5, 10 minutes now. So I've really been able to reduce it, and I would like to get it down to a marble or even a pea size. I do think there's limits to how small you can make it, depending on how innately it is inside of you, like how long you've had it for and how long you've let it grow for. I think those are like factors in like how long it's going to take to reduce it and how far it can be reduced. Like you may not be able to get it any further than a marble, right? You can't probably get any smaller than that. I don't know. I'm just using these analogies to kind of help explain how these things work inside your head, because to me, the more I've thought about it, the more it makes sense to me. Now, I can't like prove any of this what I'm saying, but I do think it works a lot like this, because just from my own experiences and experience of others, I can come to a conclusion as to how it sort of works. And to me, that kind of analogy is like the best analogy for it. And you couldn't argue against what I said, right? Because it's like we all have these problems, right? And it is true, you can reduce these problems doing certain exercises. Now, each demon is going to require different tools to slay it. So my anger one, stoicism, works really well. I think stoicism works for actually a lot. It would even help slay your anxiety demon and your doubt demons, because stoicism, as explained in the previous video, does a lot for you beyond just beyond anger. Of course, it's just self-control as a whole. So it helps you kind of put everything else out of the driver's seats, all those other emotions that like to take over, and it puts you in the driver's seat again. And so I think stoicism's kind of like a great like general tool for it, but I do think there are other tools that help cater towards each thing. So meditation is a good one as well, because that one can help reduce anxiety and stresses and even anger. You know, if you need to kind of just chill out for a bit, meditating can help, because you're just kind of spending some alone time with your thoughts and you're just kind of not really thinking about anything. Breathing exercise is really good too to help you calm down if you're angry. It can help with anxiety as well. So I think the one that helps with doubt, or even like the one that induces you with demotivating thoughts, I think if you do more hormetic exercises, that probably helps slay that demon a bit. Because, like for example, a cold shower, and I've talked about this before, but anytime you take a shower, the last 2 minutes of your shower, you just turn it down to like as cold as you can possibly get it down to, and time it for a real 2 minutes. If you set the tone for your day, you set it up like that, like especially if you take a shower first thing in the morning after breakfast or whatever, if that's the tone you set at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. or 8 or 10 or whatever it is to start your day, where it's like, yeah, this hard thing that we're going to do it for 2 minutes, and it sets the tone for the rest of the day, because it's a challenge and it's something that like you normally wouldn't want to do. It's very easy to say, I don't want to do this. That sucks. I'm not really motivated to do it. All those inner demons come in, and if you just force yourself to do it, it silences those demons. It tells them to just shut up and be put in a corner. Like, you're not going to listen to what they have to say and how they feel. You don't care, and that you're in control. You're going to take over. And I think that practice, every time you do it, if you do it every day, it reduces the size of those demons, the fear and the doubt ones, where to where it's so manageable that like anytime something like that comes up where you're trying to pursue something, those demons aren't going to be knocking inside your head nearly as loud as they used to, right? So it's all about how do you maintain control and how do you create exercises around that so that way they're not affecting you as much as they used to. So for me, that's worked out pretty well, and I think it's worth trying. Just looking into hormetic exercises as a whole, like going to the gym, that induces more self-discipline. Same thing with fasting, that induces self-discipline. You're starving yourself for periods at a time, right? And just like going to the gym, you are forcing yourself to go do something that you would rather not do. You're expending a lot of energy to do it. You're doing it on a routine base. You're pushing yourself really hard, physically and mentally. So those are all really good hormetic exercises that I think help reduce those demons. I'm sure there's more out there that I haven't listed that would help cater to the ones that are affecting you. But I think the more that you look at yourself and realize I am my own worst enemy. There are so many things I could have done had I not caved in to my inner demons, right? And they have put me in a box. And I think you need to realize that and open your mind to, okay, how do I go? Where do I go from here? Like, what are some next steps? How do I begin slaying these demons and getting them to not control my everyday life, my everyday thoughts, yada yada, right? So I just want to put that out there. This one's just kind of a short video. There's no need for it to be like 30 minutes plus. It's just kind of a really good thought experiment that I'd like to share with you guys. And hopefully it helps you kind of realize where you're at with everything. And if you ever come to these, what I call figurative walls, where you just can't get past something, it's probably because you have this inner demon that keeps keeping you there, right? Your inner demons or walls, they like to box you in and keep you complacent, basically. And we don't want that, right? We want everyone to be able to succeed and do what they want, and it's very easy to become overwhelmed with these negative thoughts, right? So I think that's all I had today. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. You guys have a great day.